You're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm Weston Williams, joined by the one and only Oliver Camacho. All right, this week, countertenor Hugh Cutting takes a free throw. The OBS artist to watch is set to perform with the Irish Baroque Orchestra in Manhattan later this month and joins us from England with dodgy audio, but we're thrilled to have him at any rate. Plus, in the 2-minute drill, Yuja Wang makes sure that the disc is fully slipped. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. Click follow on Apple Podcasts. Hit the plus sign. You can also stream episodes of OBS every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central at amplisoundsradio.com. Email us your hot takes by writing to mailbag@operaboxscore.com or upload a voice memo using the You Got Something to Say tab on our website, operaboxscore.com. However you contribute, you'll get an OBS beer coaster, an OBS lapel pin, and a #1 OBS fan foam finger just for sharing your own hot take. Folks, I took last week off because I was in mourning for the Olympics, but I'm back now. You know, my heart still hurts, but
Paralympics are going to be starting soon.
That is true.
Yeah.
There's hope yet. Are you looking forward to any Paralympic sports, Oliver?
I actually have not ever followed, but I could be persuaded. And I'm more interested in Survivor 50, which just started last week. And also Top Chef begins, I think, next week or maybe even this coming Wednesday, as of time of this recording yesterday. I have to figure that out. It's always tough when Survivor and Top Chef happen at the same time. I feel like I have to stay up late and watch everything because I don't want to be spoiled by social media and podcasts.
It really is crazy that it's 50 seasons of Survivor. I mean,
this is episode 510 for those who are counting, so it feels like we've done 50 seasons of Opera Box Score too. So.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should do a special episode where we just go into the woods with a microphone and a machete and just kind of see what happens.
I don't know what that means. Go into the woods with a machete. Oh, you mean like
in Survivor for us,
okay.
Opera Box Score.
It's usually like the beach, like a jungle, not like. All right, tennis coming soon.
Let's talk some opera.
Free throw.
On March 15th, friend of the show, Hugh Cutting, will be joining the Irish Baroque Orchestra conducted by Peter Whelan for the Trials of Tenducci, a castrato in Ireland featuring music by Mozart, Gluck, J.C. Bach, Fischer, Arna, and Giordani. That's presented by Music Before 1800. And that will take place, once again, March 15th at Corpus Christi Catholic Church on the Upper West Side. I wish I could be there. Hugh wanted to re-record the interview we did for Opera Box Score, but I know that it would not be feasible to re-record with him until he's in New York. So I wanted to get this free throw out just to give you a little taste of the wit and charm of Hugh Cutting and his gorgeous singing. Let's hear him in a little bit of Italian Baroque. Here's an aria by Porpora from his opera Polifemo, Alto Giove. Hugh Cutting with the orchestra of the Royal Opera Chateau de Versailles, conducted by Stefan Plevniak. Hugh Cutting, welcome to Opera Box Score. I want to let you know that in January of 2025, me and my podcasting colleagues, we did our predictions for 2025 and artists to watch and resolutions and this type of stuff. And you were my 2025 artist to watch, you and Meridian Prawl. And it turns out that you and Meridian are singing together this summer at Santa Fe in Ronaldo with Harry Bickett and Lucy Crowe and Yeston Davis. It's an all-British affair, and you got Meridian stuck in there. So 2025 seemed to be like a pretty big deal for you. I feel like, you've been chugging away at your career, I know, but all these recordings came out featuring you. Did the Canticles come out last year? I forget. But also...
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
the Canticles, the Carlo Vistuli and Les Arts Florissants album, your participation as the Spirit in Dido with Joyce DiDonato, and your solo album. How was your 2025 when you look back?
Oh, gosh. A dream, really. I've wanted to sing since I was 8. I remember the exact day that I wanted to be a singer, and so I think it's what I've been aiming for years, really. At least, well, maybe not singing, but certainly performing and being on stage. What I particularly loved actually about that year was that I had basically 5 operas, which is more than I would usually do, but they took me to all corners of the world. I was very lucky to benefit from that. So I was in Australia and Milan and Dallas and Berlin and back in the UK in Garsington Opera. And actually these and with a variety of roles, I had written on Skin, The Boy in that, and then Handel roles, of course, in Sydney and in the UK, etc., and Orfeo in Dallas. And the thing is, I felt like I was able to learn very quickly because of this kind of condensed year of operatic experience. And it's so funny, the things that certain roles give you that others don't, and that the others give you that you didn't expect. And so that's when I look back at it, that's what I am so grateful for. Truly, it's a cliche to say you're grateful for something, but it really hits me what exactly I want to do in the future, but based on last year's experience, both in terms of where I want to work and what the people I want to work with as well, and the type of production that I really get on with. And I suppose over all of that, the thing that I love the most is working on stories. I want to work with people who really go into character, because character is the root of story, I think, and humanity, humanness, and however bizarre it is and difficult for all of us at times. That's so interesting to me. And whether it's opera or anything else, or TV or plays, novels, that's what really sticks with me. So that's what I'm most grateful for in 2025.
Are you fashioning your career after that of your colleague, maybe mentor, Yeston Davis, in like, okay, I got to make sure I have like time in December and time during, Lent to like do my passions and my B minor masses and my messiahs. And, so you're not stuck in the rehearsal room of opera. Cause like, I remember he told me that like, when you do opera, you're like in the bunker and people forget that you also do, Messiah, and you got to make sure that you put that stuff on your calendar. So you're always doing those concerts so that they remember to hire you for those things.
Yeah. It feels to me that Yeston's always been super canny with that sort of thing, and I think I've certainly taken that on board. And I think, to be honest, though, it's just that we both love doing everything. Really, I suppose it's sort of as simple as that. Yes, Christmas time, you're going to want to do a certain amount of opera, of course. You're going to want to do Bach in Easter. But, really, you take things as they come, and as long as you sort of, the overall picture of the season looks like you've got a good mix. I'm not too fussy about when those things happen. I'm doing, a bunch of Bach in April, for example, in San Francisco with Bernard Labadie, and that will be my Bach fix for that moment. I do a Matthew Passion talk before that, but next season might be different. But yes, I suppose there's in my brain there's a quota of what I want to do, and oratorio and concert will always be a big part of that, and recital as well as opera.
Do you feel though that it's healthy for you to have that stuff in the mix so that you're not always going, full blast?
Yeah, no, totally. So I think for your voice, you need to. It's very easy to get sucked into this thing of singing in a large space, and although of course, hopefully your technique doesn't change based on what you're doing. I think, of course, there are ways of performing in an opera house that you would do differently if you were giving a recital, for example. I think recital is the hardest thing to do. It's the most concentrated, most naked, and most intense thing, 'cause it's just, if it's just you and a piano, especially. I try and... Yeah, or a lute, indeed. So I just from a technical point of view, I try to have enough of that so that I try and temper my technique enough to know that I can do, quiet singing as well.
You're doing a residency at Wigmore Hall right now, right?
I am, yeah.
I'm asking about Wigmore Hall because I've never been there, but I heard you and Yeston Davis talking about it on the Wigmore Hall podcast about how live the room is and how close you are to the audience and how it sort of invites you to sing less. Is that a true statement? Like, or to be more detailed and to, not give, full volume, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's such an incredibly good space to be heard. You can really go to the extremes of how little you can do almost. Yeah, I think I think it's correct. I mean, and not only the sound, but the space between you and the audience is so small. I guess it's got a kind of, we speak a lot on that podcast about it being quite a kind of hallowed space. There's a lot of kind of clout around it, and there's a lot of prestige associated with it. So you feel that sort of psychologically as well as in the sound. It's a very special place. I'm thrilled to have a residency there this year. Also because it allows you to try out these slightly more non-traditional ideas while alongside traditional ones in a venue that can really take it sonically, if that makes sense. So I'm really enjoying that at the moment. We had a modern program called Morpheus based around the theme of night, and we were hopping between composers like Refound as well, from Rodney Bennett to Purcell to Cavalli to Howells to Elena Lange, etc. So yeah, it's just an amazing place because the sound can make things work that might not work in other places, perhaps.
I wanted to ask you or follow up on something we talked about in our formal interview for my other job. You were sort of talking about the British way of learning how to sing, and I know that it comes from like this choir tradition, but I'll say that you are a very musical person. I hear the intention in your singing. I hear the phrasing, and that's not something that I think is always obvious to listeners. I'm making people sound like they're idiots. I'm sure plenty of people hear this, but I think what has made you distinct and what is giving you a lot of opportunity for success is that you are definitely phrasing your music. And that's way oversimplification of what you do. But I think other people will understand that there are voices out there that are just exciting to hear and make beautiful sounds and maybe do things that other people can't do with their actual technical ability. But it's when somebody can be detailed in the way you're detailed that actually attracts a certain listener, and I'm that listener.
Oh, I'm touched by what you say.
Am I going down a path that you can respond to? There's not really a question there, but maybe I'm resonating with something.
No, this is, it's all, yeah, I love that you think that, and the detail you talk about, to me, is linked to the detail of thoughts that we have. Our thoughts are usually not simple, are they? Or at least we have, I don't know what the stats are about how many thoughts we have per day, but it's something ridiculous, and it's in the tens or hundreds of thousands, or I think. So I think, at least for me, for my taste, I want to hear singers who have a believability about their singing. And to me, believability often means precision of thought, precision of approach, and that is channeled through a voice. That's because that's the universe we're working in an opera. We're working in the universe of people singing, as if and that's how they converse. That's how they speak with each other, and speak with the audience. So that's all it is for me, really. It's maybe we have. I think in opera there's a certain amount that we could learn from.
This will be greeted, once it's known, with joyful, grateful tears. Sorrow then will fade away.
And that's how the interview ended, with the internet just completely crapping out. So we hope to get Hugh Cutting back soon. He's going to be making his debut at Santa Fe Opera this summer. So if I don't talk to him in advance, definitely I'll talk to him this summer. Once again, he's performing with the Irish Baroque Orchestra on March 15th at Corpus Christi Catholic Church on the Upper West Side. We just heard a little bit of his debut solo album with pianist Audrey Highland. That is the English language translation by Jeremy Sands of Franz Schubert's Abschied, now World Farewell. And when I listened to Hugh's album and it got to that track, which is how the album ends, I stopped dead in my tracks. I was stunned by how emotional it made me. And I recommend that you seek the entire performance because it really is something special.
What more could you possibly want? Well, maybe an audio editor to fix Oliver's audio editing. This is what happens, folks, when he doesn't let me in the studio. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. Click follow on Apple Podcasts. Hit the plus sign. If you have a friend who is at all interested in opera, drag them kicking and screaming into a room and make them listen with you. It's a good way to build community. Next up, the 2-minute drill.
This just in, the 2-minute drill.
All right, listen up. Here's everything you need to know about what happened in Operaland this week.
BBC Radio 3 has parted ways with Norman Lebrecht after an email he sent to Yuja Wang was made public on her Instagram account. I thought you were a serious person who stood by her commitments. I may have to revise that opinion, complained Lebrecht after the star pianist withdrew from a chance to be interviewed by the noted pseudo-journalist clickbaiting arts blogger. This derogatory misogynistic bullying needs to stop. We are human beings who grow with nourishing energy, not characters for you to abuse, retorted Wang's sticker on a screenshot of the email for all of her 500,000 followers to see. When we saw the social media post, we took action. We have spoken to Norman Lebrecht and we will no longer be working with him at BBC Radio 3, said the BBC's controller Sam Jackson.
Conductor Frederic Chazlan, whose name appears multiple times in the Epstein files, has had an investigation opened into him by Bard College, his current employer. Meanwhile, soprano Amelia Foyer has lodged a complaint against Chazlan, accusing him of past sexual harassment and of quid pro quo for sexual favors. The conductor asserted that the texts were, quote, isolated from their context and that, quote, factual reality is absent from her account.
San Francisco Ballet has become the latest organization to pull out of performances at the Kennedy Center, originally scheduled for this May. Said Rick Grinnell, professional artists should perform for everyone, not just for people they agree with politically. Meanwhile, the organization announced that the Kennedy Center Honors would be renamed to the Trump Kennedy Center Honors.
The Wiener Staatsoper is investigating tenor Dmitry Korczak's possible ties to the Russian government. According to Oper News, Korczak has reportedly been receiving financial support from the Presidential Fund for Cultural Initiatives, which is under the control of the Russian Ministry of Culture, and has performed with organizations and individual artists supported by the Putin regime.
Valery Gergiev has been spotted meeting with Russian President Putin in person a day after the 4-year anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine. Gergiev chatted with Putin about the upcoming seasons for the Mariinsky and Bolshoi theaters, as well as a pitch from the conductor to open a cultural center in St. Petersburg or Moscow, similar to the Trump Kennedy Center.
Opera Base, a platform for tracking opera performances across the globe, turns 30 this year. Quote, what began as a record of performances has become essential infrastructure for artistic planning, casting, and international collaboration, said CEO Ulrike Küstinger. I'm deeply grateful to the artists and organizations who share their data and to the professionals who rely on Opera Base every day. As the sector evolves, our focus is clear: to keep listening, adapting, and building the best tools that truly support artistic work worldwide.
In major awards news, Gustavo Dudamel has received the inaugural Herb Albert Honor, given to artists who have driven social change through music, which comes with a cool $1 million grant. Meanwhile, the Olivier Awards will recognize soprano Danielle Denise with the Outstanding Contribution to Opera Award.
Crunching the numbers, Portland Opera, that's the one in Oregon, has announced an emergency fundraiser looking to raise $5 million over the next 16 months. The campaign aims to stabilize operations, protect artistic excellence, and position the company for long-term sustainability in the wake of arts funding crises across the U.S. In addition to other long-term goals, Portland Opera needs to close a $500,000 gap to reach the $1.5 million required to provide programming for the 26-27 season.
English soprano Josephine Nendick has died at 85. Nendick spent most of her career in London, where she focused primarily on new music in the 60s and 70s. She was a member of the Park Lane Opera Group and worked frequently with the Durham 20th Century Festival and Summer School.
And on this day, March 5th, in 1818, it was the first performance of Rossini's opera Moses in Egypt at the Teatro San Carlo in Naples. In 1868, Riggio Boito's opera Mefistofele had its premiere at the Teatro della Scala in Milano. And in 1907, it was the first radio broadcast of an orchestra performing Rossini's William Tell Overture, sent on a radio signal from Telharmonic Hall at Broadway and 40th Street in New York City to the receiver at the U.S. Naval Yard. Birthdays on March 5th include tenor Raffaele Monelli, born in Fermo in 1782, who created roles in operas by Rossini and Mercadante. In 1824, soprano Anne Arsène Charton de Meur, I think she's French, was born in Saujon. She created the role of Béatrice in Berlioz's Béatrice et Bénédict and Dido in Les Troyens. In 1882, Pauline Donalda was born in Montréal. She created roles in operas by Léonie and sang in the premiere of Leoncavallo's Chatterton. In 1887, Brazilian composer Heitor Villa-Lobos was born in Rio de Janeiro. In 1893, tenor Alessio De Paolis was born in Rome, who created roles in operas by Casella, Wolf-Ferrari, and Zan Donai. In 1900, tenor Josef Gostick was born in Slovenia. He created Midas in Der Liebe der Danae of Strauss. In 1929, soprano Sylvia Stallman was born in Nashville. Bass Dimitar Petkov was born in Sofia, Bulgaria in 1938. He created the role of the high priest in Mussorgsky's Salambo. And on this day, March 5th, it was the birth of English conductor Richard Hickox in 1948. And that's your 2-minute drill. Just a little bit of an opera titled Yerma by Heitor Villa-Lobos. That was De Donde Vienes Amor, performed by Marjorie Shaman, and the pianist there was Matteo
Mangeletti.
Matteo Mangeletti. First try. I think that, it's so annoying to me as an opera lover that you have great composers like Villa-Lobos that you have recordings of just about every single one of their concert works, but whatever recordings you have of the opera are like bootlegs or like radio rips from like 80 years ago. I'm really glad they performed this aria to the side because I think it's a neat little piece, and I really like his writing for voice. You just don't hear it as much, you know?
I mean, it's not just Villa-Lobos. I mean, what about Carlisle Floyd's Of Mice and Men? I mean,
oh, God.
Isn't that basically in the canon of American opera now, and there's not a recording of it yet?
Yeah, get on that. I mean, I've been on my soapbox about having studio recordings available of every opera ever written, and I know it's unrealistic. I know it costs a lot of money, but like, come on, guys, we need to step it up a little bit. You know who else needs to step it up? Norm Lebrecht.
I mean, I don't even want to give him any airtime, but I'm so proud of, I don't like that word, but I'm so impressed with Yuja Wang for using her platform. And she didn't do anything malicious. She just shared his own words. That's
all she did.
All she needed to do.
The crazy thing to me is that Norm Lebrecht has said way worse things about so many women. And Yuja Wang, even specifically, some of his comments on Slip Disc have been so heinous that I don't even really want to say them. Comments about her appearance, the way she dresses, implying that, you know, were she not, you know, an attractive, you know, woman, she would have no career. Truly heinous stuff. So it's wild to me that it took this long for the BBC to realize that he doesn't
you play
belong
4
there,
piano
you know?
concertos in one day.
I know. It really does
concert.
it really does kind of infuriate me because this has been how he's been for so long. He's a million years old, and Slipped Disc as a, you know, blog site is occasionally useful in that he doesn't vet any of his sources. He just writes whatever he hears, and enough people apparently have his ears so that he occasionally hears something the rest of us don't. But that is the end of his value.
Nope, not even that. You know. I don't want it. I really don't want it. And it really does piss me off when people that I respect share Slip Disc articles. You know, because wait until somebody else reports on it. Don't you know, go to the first thing that you see.
It's all gossip, and from the mouthpiece of someone who is part of the reason that classical music is suffering. It's because everyone thinks that classical music fans and aficionados are like him. And I am so excited. I was genuinely giddy when I found out that he'd finally been fired from the BBC. Good riddance. That's all I can say.
Well, Frédéric Chasselin is now contesting the account of the soprano Amelia Foyer. Meanwhile, he's under investigation for his actions at Bard College. Like we said last time, this Epstein thing is probably going to continue to reach spaces that we thought were safe from scandal, but maybe not. Yeah,
and these claims coming out, right now, I mean, he does appear quite a bit. Of course, his big defense was like, oh, he was a donor. I had to, I had to be talking to him because I thought he might donate a lot of money to the school, which I do think is a genuine problem. I don't know what he did or didn't do, but certainly I think that this does open up a conversation about the reliance of arts companies, colleges on donors who are in this circle. I mean, the thing that I think everyone has learned from the Epstein files is that once you reach a certain level of wealth and influence, your social circle does touch a lot of really nasty places, and a lot of the arts depend on people from those nasty places for funding. And, even beyond, all the horrible things in the Epstein files, there's also a lot of, incentives for wealthy patrons to, influence arts organizations away from certain kinds of art, even if you're, setting aside the horrible sexual misconduct and stuff like that. And to the college's credit, they say that after they finish this investigation into Chasselin, they're planning on re-examining their policy for interacting with prospective donors as well, try to figure out a way to do it more transparently and more pickily. I don't know to what extent that will be actually followed through with, because there is a great deal of incentive for these organizations to simply let donors get away with things. It's a very big problem, I think, in all of the arts. And I think if you've ever worked for any arts organization, not just in classical music, you find yourself really forgiving a lot of people who are paying for the existence of your art and for oftentimes your own paycheck. It's a big problem. And this goes even beyond Epstein and even beyond Chazlan. But it is something that I am hopeful maybe is a conversation that places will start having as more of these things come out. But I'm not holding my breath. I'll say that much. I want to give a quick bravo to San Francisco Ballet for pulling out of the Kennedy Center. Everyone should, I think, this is the era of putting your money where your mouth is and pushing back against authoritarianism. I think that's the way to do it in this moment as, the whole thing kind of collapses in on itself. Boo to Valery Gergiev and possibly boo to Dmitry Korchak, who, I don't know what exactly they're investigating, because I feel like it would probably be pretty easy to find out that he's doing all of these things that have connections to the Russian government. Maybe it's just the mood I'm in at the moment. I am just getting off of a brief illness here, so maybe I'm a little bit more angry than I should be. But I'm in the part of my era where I'm like, yeah, just push back. Just like anyone who is abusing their power, who is doing stuff, cut them out. We don't need them anymore. We just don't. That's my hot take, Oliver.
Nice.
One more quick item I want to talk about really quickly. Is Portland Opera panicking, or are they just being strategic here with this whole thing? Looking to raise $5 million is that's a pretty big number, Oliver.
Yeah. It's not that much in opera money, honestly.
That is true.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that they kind of are raising it out of nowhere, but they're also raising it at a time when they mostly kind of, they would be fundraising anyway. So maybe it's not that bad.
They need immediately $500,000 to make sure that their next season happens. And $4.5 million above that, I guess, to ensure that the company can continue at the level that they're at,
The arts funding situation in this country, partially because of, Trump and, all of that sort of thing, but also because of general, I think, maybe audiences not coming back from the pandemic as quickly, and also I think a greater emphasis on trying to cut costs in general. I think everyone is really skittish right now, and because they don't know what the fiscal situation of not just an arts organization is going to be in 6 months. They don't know what the fiscal situation of the country in general in 6 months is going to be. So front loading it seems to be perhaps a good idea.
Yeah. Well, they're one of the companies presenting Fellow Travelers, so maybe they lost money for being gay.
Oh, maybe that's honestly in 2026, that's entirely possible. Let's wrap this show up.
Good call. Bad call. On Opera Box Score.
Good call, bad call, an easy breezy episode for us today, Oliver. Let's start with you.
Well, if you're not going to go hear Hugh Cutting in Manhattan on the 15th, maybe you could make it to Monte Carlo on the 13th or Lyon on the 15th to hear Jake Arditi with Emiliano Gonzalez Toro in a concert they're billing as the Vivaldi Battle. I think the ad for this performance, at least the ad that Jake Arditi posted on his Instagram, is super hilarious. So I'd love for everybody to hear it.
This is a message for you, Emiliano Gonzalez Toro. If that's even your real name. I hear you talking a big talk about cadenzas and coloratura. Don't worry, I've been training. And when fight night comes, the audience are going to get a knockout performance. Let's not forget what countertenor actually means. I'm not with you, I'm not for you, I'm against you. So you better bring it.
Vivaldi Battle, March 13th and March 15th. It's very much on brand with Opera Box Score.
Absolutely. I really like a good social media marketing campaign. I do want to give maybe a secondary good call because it already happened, but the whole social media team at Lyric Op of Chicago, what they were doing for Salome with
Fred the Head.
With Fred the Head was so funny. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to their Instagram page or their TikTok page and just look up all the videos that have to do with Fred. It is an absolute delight. I have one more good call. There's an article in the Arts Journal that actually you sent me, Oliver, so I'm stealing this blatantly from you. It's the AJ Chronicles, the Metropolitan Opera as Poster Child. It's a very interesting sort of examination partially of the Met season and, how they're reducing the number of performances, but focusing on different things, but putting that in the context of the general question of the role of the arts, of the institutional arts in the United States. He makes the case that the center of the arts in the U.S., at least on an institutional level, has really been shrinking since the quote-unquote democratization of culture began in the sort of the internet age about 30 odd years ago. And it's a really interesting article. I think it's in many ways the kind of thing that we would talk about here on Opera Box Score with a lot more fancy words. And, I love fancy words, so I highly recommend it. That is it for this week's edition of America's Talk Radio Show about opera. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Get your voice heard and find links to stuff we've talked about at our website, operaboxscore.com. That's also where you can put your money where our mouths are. Give back to the OBS using the Support the Team tab. Your announcer is Norm Waddell. Your creative consultant is Oliver Camacho. And your audio editor is me, except for that one part. The executive producer of the OBS is George Cedarquist. For our guest, Hugh Cutting, I'm Weston Williams, asking you to continue the conversation about opera as you try to raise $5 million in a hurry. We're back with an all-new show next week. Plus, you get more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more nourishing energy. Join us.